Whoa, it's Wulzy. Welcome back to Geometry Dash. I want to show you a couple of useful things you might not know about the Geometry Dash editor. I hope this gives you a couple of tips to make your building a little bit more efficient. I want to quickly show you these YouTube stats. By the end of this year, I want to catch Alkali in subscribers, and he's going to hit 10k soon. So we got to get moving. Hit the subscribe button to help me out. Thank you so much for the support. Now let's get right into the video. On the PC version, you can very easily half space an object by going into the second tab across and going onto one of the mini objects. Then you can freely use the smaller grid with the keyboard while these are selected. If you're on mobile, this will be useful to know. These 4 single arrow movements are called steps. 15 steps is equivalent to 1 block. These 4 mini arrows right here are called mini steps. 4 of those movements are equivalent to 1 step. So essentially 60 of these is equal to 1 block. So if you're looking to half space an object, you're going to have to move it 7 spaces across, 7 spaces up or down, and then 2 mini steps each way, and you will be in the middle. An alternate way of doing this is setting move triggers at the very beginning with certain group IDs with 0 move time. They just move it 5 spaces to the right, because as far as a move trigger is concerned, 1 block is equal to 10 spaces along the X. So you might have some move triggers set up at the beginning of your level, moving a block 5 spaces to the right, 5 spaces up, so you can get that middle space very easily by adding 2 and 3. You'll notice that I've used 2 and 3 for the move triggers because everyone should be using alpha trigger 1 at the very beginning, as it's the easiest number to type, it's the easiest number to remember if you want to go ahead and set an object to invisible. It's very useful to be able to remember exactly which number in your color channels is white, black, black blending, or any other colors. In every level, I use the same colors. 1 is always white, 10 is black blending, which is equivalent to invisible, 9 is always black, and 8 is always half opacity black. Something else that's quite useful about the Edit Object tab is the Copy Color button. This lets you set a color channel to anything you want really. You can copy the color of the background and have that as a block if you want. But then if you're feeling fancy, you can go and change the hue, you can go and change the saturation, and get yourself a completely different looking block while still using the same color channel. So then you can spice up your color scheme by having both of these sets of objects on the same color channel, but when you hit this color trigger, they change in a different way. So you may notice when I've been placing objects this whole time that whenever I give it a different property, it will appear in text on the left hand side of the screen, which is because I have the Show Object Info button ticked. As you can see, when I press this button, that text disappears. It's just very useful to be able to click on an object, know what color it's on, know what group it's on, know what layer it's on, and know what the Z order is. Speaking of selecting things, did you know that you could link multiple objects together using the Enable Link Controls option, so that when these are linked, I can click anywhere and it selects the whole object? Alright, here's a little scenario. I've got my layout stuck on the same editor layer as all of my decoration pieces. To get it out, I can go select one of these objects, turn on Select Filter, go to the Delete tab, select the Custom button, and then I can go ahead and just swipe all of it. Then I can just swiftly move it on to Editor Layer 1, and I have separated it from the mess. Also, while this custom delete button is ticked, I can go ahead and only delete the layout blocks from this mess and keep the rest safe. And if you're too lazy to even select that, you can go ahead, still use the custom button, and then just delete all. Okay, so I've got some objects right here. I want to evenly space them, but I don't know how much space I need between them for that to happen. I can just select them, go into the pause menu, align by X, and there you go. It turns out I just needed 2 spaces between them. Same goes on the Y axis. Okay, so I want to put some spikes on the edge of this slope, but I don't know how much to rotate them by to make that happen. What I've got to do is move them near the block, press the snap button, and then you can go ahead, space them right on top of the block like so. This will also work for the 45-degree angle slopes like that. Okay, so I have this object that moves up as the player passes it. I want to make a whole strip of these that happen one by one as the player moves past. All I've got to do is copy this object, move it to the right, use the Build Helper button, and that will automatically set it to a brand new group. So I could just very quickly copy paste these, press Build Helper, then I could select the whole lot, press Build Helper again, and there we go. I already have 16 groups that all move the blocks upwards. I've got these 2 designs that I want to put onto these blocks of my layout. The quickest method to do this is select it, add it to your custom objects, then you can move over and just add it to any blocks you want. Same with the other one. add it to the custom objects, and then you can just freely add it as you want. Some quick knowledge you gotta know before I move on. Objects with hue 180 are the same as objects with minus hue 180, as you can see. Here is a rainbow snake I've very easily created by placing one object, copy pasting it to the side, adding 30 hue, copy pasting that object, adding another 30 hue. When it gets to hue 180, I simply flipped it to hue minus 180, then added another 30 so it goes to minus 150, and so on and so on. Then I could just copy this rainbow, put it right on the very edge of the existing one, and it will link up like so, because this object has minus 30 hue and this object has 0 hue, so it just keeps on going in that continuous format. In bordered game modes, there are particles that sit in the middle of the screen. This is known as the background effect. You can very easily get rid of this by going into the trigger tab, going on the background effect, off trigger, placing it in the level, and then you will notice at that point the particles will disappear. If you've made a really nice looking design like this, the best way to get a look at it is to go into the extra settings, hide the background and hide the grid on play. Then you can just go and pause right when you're next to it and zoom in, and you'll be able to see without the grid. Some people didn't know about duration lines. If you go into the extra settings and tick this, you'll be able to see how long the triggers actually last. Touch triggered triggers are actually pretty cool. If I want to have a trigger right here that activates some object when the player touches the trigger, for example these spikes right here that are on group 1, if you jump the toggle trigger they won't appear, but if you just sit there like a plum, you will die. Here is a cool use of it. I have this trigger right here that sets the background to red if you touch it. So if you play the level normally, you won't go through. But if you play the level and decide to jump on top of these blocks, you will die, and the background will turn red to indicate that. Adding D blocks on top or inside of some blocks will allow the wave to slide on top of it. The J block can be used to stop the player from jumping again while they're holding from an orb. Without these blocks, I will die if I'm still holding my input from the orb when I touch these blocks, because I'll just jump straight into the spike block and die. S blocks can be used to stop a dash orb from having its effect, so if I'm holding, those S blocks will instantly stop it whenever I touch them. And these H blocks allow me to jump and hit my cube off the bottom of these blocks while still living. This is quite a strange orb. It's basically a toggle orb. If I go to edit the special property of this block, set the group ID to 1, that will toggle these spikes right here on the ground if they are set to group 1. Like that. This is the easiest way to make a circle. You set two objects apart from each other, and this defines the diameter of the circle. Then you can select them, rotate them 90 degrees, select them again, and rotate them 45 degrees. Then you can just keep on copying and pasting using the free rotation method, and you will rotate yourself a nice little circle right there. Here is the final tip for this video. If I just turn off the grid for a second and go into these settings, I can directly change the color of the background while looking at the exact color that it's going to change to by pressing this little small plus button next to the BG text in that tab. So it's pretty much a direct color picker. You can change the lightness of it, you can change the darkness of it, and I'm pretty sure you can change the opacity, but it doesn't work on the background. This little box at the bottom right here will tell you the original color that it was before you were changing it just now, and it will show you the color that it is now. This can also be done by selecting an object and pressing the RGB icon right here, and this will bring up the exact same color picker. And you can also change the opacity right here. I was correct. Anyway, thank you for watching this editor tips and tricks video. This isn't really something I do very often, but I am planning to bring out building videos in the future. Hit the like button, leave a comment letting me know what you thought of the video format, anything that I've missed, anything that you've learned. I'm interested. Have a good day.